And first of all, I'd like to invite Hilary to take her place at the lectern. Hilary leads a team, Hilary O'Shaunessy. She leads a team of producers who develop and deliver Watershed's research partnerships and programs, including Southwest Creative Technology Network and Bristol and Bath Creative R&D. She develops the International Playable City programme, which is an international public art commissioning programme which ranges from presenting work from Austin to Tokyo. Her background spans theatre, game and interaction design, both as performer, producer and designer. And she has been working very closely with the team here at 101 in terms of developing and co-facilitating that intensive lab, which I think was designed for 12 people, but I've been told this morning there are now 17 people who are going to subject themselves to the rest of this week after today to being part of that lab. So, Hilary, without any more from me.
Thanks very much. This is a very intimidating setup here. I feel like I should be proclaiming how I feel about the world at the moment. But thanks very much for having us here for today and for the week. Myself and Martin from Watershed are here, and a few other people are joining us for the next few days, and we're really excited to just have conversations with you and to try and answer some of the million questions that were just asked that would form a very good BA program probably, and we're not going to be able to cover in the next 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do is give you an overview of Watershed, what we're doing and what we're thinking about at the moment. And I'm around all day, and Martin there, I'm going to point him out, is around all day, so come and talk to us. So this is our space at Watershed. Watershed is a digital creativity centre. It's based in Bath. Sorry, I'm just going to turn my timer on so I don't talk forever. There we go. A digital creativity centre based in the Harbourside in Bristol. We have 3 cinemas, conferencing spaces, a restaurant, but mostly the area that myself and Martin work in is the Pervasive Media Studio. The Pervasive Media Studio is 12 years old, between 11 and 12 years old, and it is a space for research and development into what creative technology is, why we do it, why people are thinking about creative technology, what's the purpose, what value or not does it have for people in society. And so we invite up to, again, it's constantly in flux, but between 100 and 120 of what we call residents to come and join us for longer and shorter periods of time to think about these questions. Those residents are either they come on formal residencies, which we offer a certain type of program with certain outputs, or they come and join us for a number of years. And they range in art forms from choreographers to magicians to product designers to directors. And some people come in with one title and then leave with another because they come in and their processes change while they're with us. But everyone comes to us with a question. So maybe they've been making theatre for 10 years and they've heard about VR and they want to think about making it, but they don't know where to start. They come to us and say, well, how do we begin? Where do we begin? What's the point? And we are a space that holds that question for them and tries to support them. So this is our studio where we are. I'm doing stupid things. Right, yeah. So basically the program that has come out of the Pervasive Media Studio in the last few years, which I've been working on, is a program called Playable City. Playable City started about 6 years ago. And again was a response from us in the studio thinking about the smart city conversation that was happening at the time. So we just saw lots of big tech companies coming in and proclaiming that they were going to save everyone's lives by making them more efficient, and they were releasing all of these fantastically gorgeous and confusing videos about the future that sort of made us feel very uncomfortable because people weren't at the center of any of those visions. It was all about sort of utopian technological futures. And so we thought, well, hang on, we're surrounded by brilliant people who think about these things all the time as well. And they're making work in response to that. And they're using very small interventions to connect people to each other and have conversations. So what if we actually put money behind that and tried to commission those artists, creatives, to make bigger projects? So we made the Playable City Award, which at the time was a £30,000 commission for creatives from any background to come and help us think about this. So we asked people to create a project that was suitable for all ages, so it wasn't specifically geared to one demographic, that had used creative technology in some way, and it was up to you to decide what that was. But most importantly, the technology had a really low barrier to entry. So it wasn't that you had to own a £600 smartphone, or that you had to understand what something was or know anything about it. You should be able to just immediately click in and be able to take part in the experience. And since then, I'm not going to go through all the projects because we don't have time, but we have commissioned a number of projects around the world. So if any of you happen to be in Paris really soon, you can dance with your shadow outside the Théâtre du Châtelet. My French pronunciation is terrible at the moment. And I encourage you to look at the website and look at the kind of projects that we've commissioned over the years. And what's come out of that actually is a number of programs where we have now worked with the British Council to travel around the world and work with people in different cities. The lovely Duro Far came with us to Nigeria to think about what a playable city is in totally different contexts, because there isn't one context, there isn't one type of art, there isn't one type of person, and there isn't one type of technology that works everywhere. It's always about contextual relationships that happen in those places. So we've been really lucky to work all over the world with different people, and it's really informed how we think as well about our assumptions about technology and how people behave in public space. I'm always pointing in the wrong place. Just as an aside, I also work with Now Play This, which is a fantastic festival of experimental games in London, and they have particular challenges of filling these absolutely enormous spaces in Somerset House. That's just an aside. I encourage you to look up their website. So I was thinking about this and I was like, okay, there's a million questions and I can't really answer specific questions for everybody. So I'll just break it down into really, really crude categories of the good, the bad and the ugly, which is very, which will help me think about this. And I think we all know the good. So we're all here because we believe in this. I don't think anyone in here is making millions of outdoor art right now. We're all in this room because we actually believe in the values of this work and what it does for people and how brilliant it is to come together as a temporary community and make an awesome project. So this is one of the projects that came out of the studio. Laura Kriefmann goes by the name of Hellion Trace, and she made a project a couple of years ago where she came to us as a choreographer who made pieces indoors and wanted to think bigger. And through working in Bristol, she was looking at the cranes that were on the harbour side. And over a number of years, with support from different organisations, not just us, Laura realised her vision of making the cranes dance. And I'm going to show you her video. This project is another project that Troy Innocent is a researcher and artist in Melbourne that we work with a lot, who's come and visited us in the studio, and I've subsequently gone and worked with him in Melbourne. And I think this is a lovely I think what I like about these projects is they don't look instantly digital, some of them, but it's a really creative way of working with infrastructure in cities.
My name is Troy Innocent. I make art which is really exploring language and code. My public art practice focuses on what you call playable cities, situating play in urban environments and connects elements that are already situated in the city, such as street art, with digital layers such as augmented reality. The Melbourne Art Tram project was a great opportunity for playful takeover. What I really wanted to do was to appropriate a C2 class Melbourne tram and turn it into a 35.5 metre long musical score. It is quite abstract to me, testing everything in theory. To see the actual tram, I'm not quite sure how I'll feel. Awesome. Musical tram. It works, for one thing. Don't have to do any more app fixing. So, musical tram, fully operational. You hold up your phone to capture the tram within the frame of your phone camera, and as it passes, it triggers a bunch of generative music systems, and so it generates a score as it moves through the camera. This is not just kind of functional piece of infrastructure that transports people around the city, but it's also now a moving kind of musical score. So that idea of kind of poetic infrastructure, poetic takes on urban code. I love machines. It's like having my own giant robot, I guess. As close as I'm going to get to that.
What was really nice is then people started to mess with that and thought, well, if I run really fast, will it change the music? Or if I slow down or move around? So it was quite nice. Oops, I'm going to go back. This is another project that I'm a big fan of, which is which was, Millennium Square it's called. Sorry, I forgot the name of it for a second. And this is a project that we did for a festival called Layered Realities. And the project revolves around, basically you are a group of people who are going on a guided tour. You have a tour guide with you, and the tour guide is talking about the area that you're in, but it's set in the future. And at a certain point, all of the audience are wearing a special type of neck piece, and they have a selfie stick and a phone. And what happens is you walk through, at one point you gather as a group and you're asked to sort of think about the future. You're looking at an area and you're asked as a group, well, what do you think this place will be like in 50 or 100 years' time? What's really nice is that there's an artist listening to the people who are talking about the future. So maybe you're saying, I think that building there will probably be gone, or this might be underwater, or this might be a park. And the artist is listening and then drawing over the image that you have in front of you onto your camera. So then people start to go, okay, well, hang on, I can't just make this into a park because now you want fish. So we got a problem. And people start having immediate conversations about how to negotiate that. And it's a really quite technologically difficult thing to achieve, but quite a simple experience for the audience to have. And I'll put links to all of these up later on so people can look at them. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to fly through. This was another project that we did in Seoul for the Architecture Biennale. In Korea, we commissioned lots of local artists to look at this area, which is called the Chongchong. It's a really nice, beautiful piece of public infrastructure. It's a beautiful place to go for a walk. There's lots of trees. It's right in the city centre, but it's also a site it's a reclaimed river. It was previously a motorway, but the thing about the motorway was there were loads of temporary businesses all around the motorway that just got squashed when this sort of public infrastructure got put in. And so our opportunity to work with local artists in Seoul was to have them make small temporary interventions along the site to start talking about this, because they felt there wasn't much consultation and that lots of people didn't have voices in making that. So some people made games to think about how the different types of not just businesses have gone, but also how the ecosystem, the natural ecosystem was changed. And so it was a nice way of having conversations about really difficult issues, but starting off gently with interventions and invitations for people to think about that, maybe with people they hadn't already spoken to. So you can do a lot of good things outdoors by plonking things in front of people. We all know this one. Oops. This is a video. Sorry, am I done something daft again? No? 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 Okay. Oh well. Well, this is a funny video of somebody falling over in the snow, which is very funny. So I'm very. But damn it, that was my like comic interlude. But we kind of know the bad stuff. We know that it's really difficult. We know that being outdoors, everything that can possibly go wrong will possibly go wrong. I'm sure we all have we could have a whole week long of horror stories here that we could all share with each other about the time that everything went wrong. So I thought making a joke about it would be. We also know that work outdoors is massively expensive, hugely difficult to make, and you have to constantly justify why you're doing it. And also you're up against, especially when you talk about digital work, is numbers. And I think that's a dangerous road to go down, because it's really easy to track numbers of interactions. But that doesn't mean that people are having a good time. It doesn't mean you're having a good time making the work. It doesn't mean the conversations are going well. But if it's constantly just a numbers game, then that's a really dangerous road to go down, because the biggest number always wins. And that's not always what you need to talk about as a culture. It's not always what you need to be engaging with people about, is the issues that their lives are about. So that's the bad. The ugly, we know the politics of public space is something very ugly. We've already brought up the week that's coming, where everything is going to change. Whatever the result is, and whatever your opinion about that result is, things are going to change, and things are going to get constantly harder. And so I suppose I have a little provocation, because I have a couple of minutes left, where I pulled a cheesy quote from somebody. And I suppose what I'm asking people to do is today to have the conversations about how we as a group, and I think it's a really brilliant opportunity to have people who work in the digital sphere, or whatever you want to call it, and the outdoor sphere, to come together and try and find solutions for what problems might be coming up. And we all know why we do this, and we also all know how hard it is. So maybe let's use today to try and bash out some new solutions together. And I'd encourage you to talk to someone you haven't spoken to before. And I do it myself. I immediately gravitate towards the people I know, because that's comforting. But really, don't leave here today without having a really proper conversation with somebody that you don't know about what's going on, where they live and what they're making, and how the two of you can communicate. And that's what I think is worth doing. So thanks.